And then another myth that the middle class have, or the poor working middle class have, is that their 401k is a great thing to have in retirement, right? Or mutual funds, as Dave Ramsey teaches. Did you all know, for example, that if your gross income is about $70,000 a year, the gross, right, that it's going to take about $700,000 of your 401k retirement to retire off of, once you add in inflation, the increase of pricing of goods and services. And so once you really look at your paycheck, I don't care if you are an employee, 90% people are employees, or you are an independent contractor through a job, right? If you're a soloist or specialist, employees get taxed 30 to 40%. Solos and specialists get taxed 40 to 50%. And that's what I don't like about Suze Orman and Dave Ramsey, is that they don't teach you what your true stealers of your wealth are. They teach you the only thing that keeps you living paycheck to paycheck is bad credit and bad debt, and that is not true. What keeps most people living paycheck to paycheck and in debt is taxes and a lack of a financial education, right? And so you don't need to learn about crypto until you learn this. You don't need to learn about Bitcoin until you learn this, right? You don't need to learn about day trading until you learn this, because why? Even in day trading, the money that you can gain or lose, but the money that you can gain from a profitable day trade, you will still only bring in 60 to 70 cents on the dollar. And what I'm informing you is that there is a better financial formula to that than that, where you can bring in 90% on the dollar, right? And so that's called income shifting your money back to you. What a lot of people don't understand is they can obtain financial freedom right out of the money that they're already making. You really can. You really can. Now, some people, it will require that they level up and make more money, right? I would not dare tell a person making $35,000 a year and getting a $8,000 tax refund, which that will be cut out or eradicated by 2021, that you can obtain financial freedom. That's impossible when inflation, the everyday increasing pricing of our everyday goods and services are happening every year, right? When your landlord can control whenever he wants or she wants your rent to increase. When your property taxes can be increased, right? At any given time, if you are a home buyer. I will never tell anyone with that low of an income, or $50,000 a year or $60,000 a year, that you can obtain financial freedom, right? So let me read some of these. Income shifting is the best way. See, this is why they don't want you to learn this in school, right? Let me give you a recap. This probably is another section I'm gonna crop out. Why they don't want you to learn this in school is because, let me pull this out. I'll pull this up rather than I pull it out. The General Board of Education was created in 1902. Education was created in 1902. By Rockefeller, right? The origins of education and mandatory schooling. So in 1902, John D. Rockefeller created, along with Dale Carnegie and J.P. Morgan, who many will argue are the founders of the IRS, or well, families are controlling, even now, the IRS, right? So many people think they're paying taxes to government. No, they're not. You're paying taxes to these families. They founded the IRS, creature of Jekyll Island in Georgia, right? And so 1902, these founding fathers, the richest men in this arena, and you can also add Henry Ford. I do not have him pictured. They needed workers, right? Henry Ford needed workers for his Ford factory. J.P. Morgan, investment firm and banks. You have John D. Rockefeller. He needed workers for his oil rig, right? Oil rig. Jesus said, landlord, not for me. I love being a landlord, Jesus. I love being a landlord. And then you have Carnegie. Well, that's why you see a lot of the colleges and education institutions with Carnegie Halls, right? Steel Corporation. And so back in this time in 1902, a lot of people were farmers. They controlled their own land, their own agricultural products. They were much entrepreneur based. And they said, you know what? We have to produce workers. We don't need farmers. We need workers. Henry Ford said, I need people to work my factory. J.P. Morgan said, I need people to work at my investment firm and my banks, right? Dale Carnegie said, I need people to work in my steel industry. We need workers. So we need to create an employees mentality, not an entrepreneurs. So let's start them at a very early age and start them in the school systems, right? We're going to teach them to work like a factory worker would, from bell to bell, right? From this hour to this hour, transition. And we're going to create left-brained thinkers, not right-brained thinkers. The right brain is your creative mind, entrepreneur mind. We're going to tell them that discipline, right? We don't want them to be free. We don't want them to question. We want them in a disciplined format and frame. We want them to walk on the right side of the hallway because that builds their left brain, right? We want worksheets that does not produce creativities, right? But just make them want a single frame of answer. And by the time we make them like this from K through 12, by the time they graduate high school, they will be perfect workers for my assembly line. They'll work on the assembly line for this many hours. We'll ring the bell. They have a 15-minute lunch break. After their 15 minutes lunch break, just like cafeteria in schools, after they get their lunch, it's back to work. You clock in, you clock out. You don't ask questions. You're not creative. You do everything the same way every single time. And by the time we instill this in them through the schools, we'll have the perfect economic slaves for our business. So we and our families will continue to be rich and wealthy. And then on top of this, let's do this, right? On top of this, let's make them so dependent on us and our factory jobs and bring them from being farmers and entrepreneurs and make them be employees. Let's take about 30% of their labor paycheck so they never will get ahead of the game. Let's make them bring only 70 to 60% home on the dollar. Give the rest to the IRS. Many people don't know who the IRS is. They think it's government. It's not government. And they'll always be hustling backwards, working for a paycheck, but never be able to get ahead. Because now, not only do you have taxes that come out of your paycheck, people have to have their insurance that comes out of their paycheck. Used to be a time that health insurance was just enough. It's no longer is health insurance good enough. No, you got to have accidental insurance. You got to have cancer insurance. What about hospitalization insurance? If you're hospitalized, you get, and if you're overnight, if you have surgery, right, we'll pay this amount out. So we're going to take out federal taxes, in some states, state taxes, and even Social Security and Medicare. So they won't even get 70% of their paycheck. In essence, they're going to get about 40 to 30% on the dollar. What brilliance. Isn't that brilliant? Isn't that brilliant? But people still want sushi. They still want a paycheck over passive income. Wasn't that brilliant? And then on top of that, what we'll do is, after we take out the Social Security, the Medicare, health insurance, federal taxes, FICA, state taxes in some states, except Texas and Florida. And then we'll tell them, oh, and I forgot about this one. Pensions and 401k. Oh my God, now they're getting like 20% on the dollar. Right? And on top of that, whenever we have an economic reset, right, we'll crash the pensions and the 401ks. So we'll have them losing thousands and thousands of dollars out of their 401ks and their pensions, right? And they'll always be in this rat race of working and chasing a paycheck.